Hi, this is going to be a little story time with Mark. We're going to talk about what does it take to actually spark a novel. A few weeks back, we talked about a question you might want to ask yourself when you're looking for, when you're kind of casting about for, what do I want to write about? And that question is, what do I really want to write? Right now at this time, what appeals to me the most? And actually asking that question has led to a couple different novels for me. For my first published YA novel, ROAD RASH, I was actually working on something else entirely. I was working on a nonfiction book. I'd written and published a couple of those, and I was pretty familiar with the process, so it kind of made sense to do that. And in the middle of working away on that thing, I was basically making a proposal, because with fiction, you write it and then you sell it, but with nonfiction, you sell it and then you write it, basically. And I was in the middle of that proposal preparation kind of process, to be alliterative. Anyways, and I'm working away at this nonfiction thing because it makes sense to me. And in the back of my mind, there's this little voice of this 17-year-old drummer saying, "Hey, dude, you want to write about me?" and usually when I get distracted in the middle of a project, I try to put those distractions aside because I want to focus on exactly what I'm working on until I'm done. Because I've learned distractions are generally not in your benefit. But this time I actually listened to that voice, and that voice said, "You want to write about me? You want to tell my story?" And the more I listened to that voice, the more interested I got, and I ended up following that character around and kind of capturing what was going on with him and writing his story instead of the nonfiction thing. And it didn't really make sense, actually. It didn't make good business sense at the time because, again, I had had success writing and selling nonfiction books, and I knew how to do it. And this was something I hadn't really done before. I'd never written a young adult novel before. I didn't know if there would be an agent who wanted to represent it. I didn't know if there would be an editor who would, want to work on it. I didn't know if there would be a publisher willing to publish it. I didn't know if people would want to buy it, would read it, would like it, any of the above. But it turned out that yes, there was an agent, yes, there was an editor, yes, there was a publisher, yes, people bought it and read it, and a few of them actually maybe liked it. But more important than that, it kind of got me started on writing book-length fiction. And it was a wonderful experience. I loved the actual writing of it, and I ended up with a great agent and a great editor, and I wouldn't have changed that experience for anything in the world. For the 909 project, it was a little bit different. I had just actually finished writing something. I had it all buttoned up and sent off to my agent, and I was done. And usually when I'm done writing something, I want to take a break for a while. But really, I woke up the next morning really, really wanting to write. And I had nothing specific in mind to write about. But I really, really wanted to be in that writing mode. I had been in that writing mode for months, and it's kind of my happy place. And I guess I kind of wanted to go back there, or I wanted to stay there. All I had was a real vague idea, just kind of this concept of the perfect yellow, which is kind of a metaphor for perfection and the fact that perfection is overrated. But it's very vague. It's not a plot. It's not a character. It's not even a setting. It's really kind of nothing at all. But this very, very, very vague kind of thematic concept. That's all I had. And motivationally, I had something else also, as I had recently read a very high concept novel, and to be honest, I hated it. Oh, I'm not gonna tell you what it was, but I really did enjoy it. It was all plot. The characters were cardboard. Everything was predictable. You could see it coming from a mile away. I was never actually in the story. I never cared about the characters. It was just kind of a big giant caper, and it kind of pissed me off. But I kind of thought to myself, okay, instead of just complaining about this, maybe I should try to do something better or do something different. And, in other words, you just like shut up and put your money where your mouth is. So I decided I was going to write kind of the opposite of that. I was going to write a low concept book that was actually about real people who might exist. And we were going to get kind of deep into their interiority. We're going to see them as real people, see the world through their eyes, and go through what they are going through, and have them go through things that aren't saving the world, but are more just kind of the stuff that all of us have to go through, Not that they're not major problems. We all kind of go through major problems at times, but they weren't these one of a kind, save the world from alien invasion type problems. They were more deal with the loss of a loved one, those kind of problems. Very kind of realistic, and I tried to make the voice as authentic as possible. And again, I had no idea, is anybody going to want to represent this? Is anybody going to want to acquire it and publish it, and so on and so forth? And on the face of it, it's not really a commercial book. Again, it's not some high concept, Batman gets religion sort of thing. It's a small story with a lot of interiority, and it's very character driven. But yes, my agent loved it, and yes, there was a editor who actually was the publisher of the imprint who loved it and really wanted it to be out in the world, and it's out in the world, and the world seems to enjoy it. The main point is both of these came about because I kind of followed my gut, and the feeling was, what do I want to write? Not what should I write, what makes the most business sense, what is the market doing, what is currently the hot take on the end caps at Barnes & Noble. None of that stuff. It's just on a gut level, what is it that I really, really, really want to write? What's the story that I need to tell? What am I passionate about? What do I care about? I think those things are so much more important than all those external kind of business-oriented factors. So that's basically it. I'm just saying that sometimes following your passion, following your heart, kind of trying to get the story of your heart out of your head and onto the page can actually make the most business sense in the end, because really what editors are looking for is they're looking for stories that move them, stories with which they have an emotional connection, and they're looking for writing that feels like actual lived experience to them, so they don't feel like they're reading a book, they feel like they're immersed in a story. So what are you working on, and what motivated that? What motivated you to actually write the thing you're working on, and do you care about it enough that you can dedicate the next year or two of your life to writing it? I sure hope you can. I wish you all the best luck. Keep writing.